How you going, everyone? My name's Jason and welcome to tutorial 9 and the final tutorial in animation, rigging and compositing in Lightwave and After Effects. So as we can see here, tutorial 9, import into After Effects, color correction, recompose and render final. So we want to try and match it up with the backplate video footage of Jurassic Park. So if we close that down and we have a look under the render, should have all our renders, all our frames. As you can see as I'm scrolling it, if you watch it, you can see them all change. See? So you can see the animation happening. It's frame by frame. Okay. So if we open up After Effects, okay, and double click on the project screen, we want to go into our render. If we click on the first frame, you will notice it says PNG, import as footage, and PNG sequence. So it's picked up that it's a sequence because of the underscore RGB and the number. Okay, so that's why it's important to make sure RGB is on the end. Okay, so if we go open, it has now imported it as a sequence. So now we want to do is open up and get our backplate footage, Jurassic Park. Drop that in. Now, being our backplate footage, we want that first, so we'll drop that in first. And this is the original one. I haven't cut this one, so I'll just find the spot and I'll cut it. You won't have to worry about this bit. I might even just cut this bit out so you don't have to watch me. Now if we just drop our sequence that we got here, drop our sequence on top, we'll actually just drop it on top down here. As you can see, there's our cool little pterodactyl doing his thing. Okay, now there's a couple of things you can tell that's wrong with it. Number one is that it's too sharp compared to the footage here. Number two is that it's not moving with the camera because it's, you know, we've animated it along a path, so we need to fix that. And number three is probably color correcting it just so it matches in a little bit more with the scene. So first thing we'll do is we'll track the camera. Okay, so we'll track the camera, and then by tracking it we'll be able to set our footage to follow the camera. Okay, so if you go down the bottom right here, if you don't have this tracker, if you go to Window here and just tick Tracker, I think Tracker, I'm not quite sure what After Effects has Tracker. I think maybe CS 5.5 and up. I'm not sure, but anyway. So this might not work with CS4 and below, maybe. But anyway, sorry if I can't, if this doesn't work. But if so, then follow along. So we want to track the camera. Okay, now this will probably just take a minute or something. Okay, so now it's just tracking, and it'll put a whole bunch of pretty little colors everywhere. Okay, so as you can see, all these little colors everywhere. Now this is just tracking locations. Now I want to find one probably around here somewhere. One that's actually going to completely stay there at all times. And I want to pick one that's on the ground. Okay, so I might just use this one here. So if I click on that one, and I go right click it and create null and camera. Okay, so it's created a null at that spot. Okay, so that null will stay on that spot. As you can see, the null is moving with the camera, see? Okay. Now, what we need to do is grab our sequence, and all we have to do is get this little pick whip here. See this little pick whip? Okay, and then we just have to pick whip it to the null. Okay, so that'll parent it to the null. So that way our footage, if we zoom out and we highlight our footage, if you watch this bounding box on the outside here, actually, hang on. First, we have to make it a 3D object because the camera only works in 3D. So if you notice here, the tracking null automatically makes it 3D. So we need to make our footage 3D as well. Okay, now by clicking it, you probably notice it disappears, and that's because it's not in the right spot. Okay, so we will need to go to where it says active camera here, and we need to readjust it. So if we go say top, for instance, okay, and if we zoom out, you'll notice that if you have it here, it's actually put it on the null, okay, but we don't want it there, okay, because it's too close, so the camera won't pick it up, of course, see? Okay, where this bit here, this is our sequence. Okay, so we want our sequence on the Z-axis, and we want to move it back into the middle of our scene, which is here. Okay, so if we go back, so if you click on the camera, you'll see, there you go, see now it's getting our scene. Okay, because the middle of the scene here is the exact reach of the camera, if that makes sense. So the camera, of course, the very end of the camera, we need it to be inside the camera perfectly. So that's why I'm putting it in the middle. Okay, so now we can go back to active camera and just fit to screen, and you'll notice it's back there again. Okay, and of course now if we have a look, if you look at the bounding box, now if you watch this bounding box, you can see it moving now because it's moving with the null, and the null is moving with the camera. So we've now successfully basically attached our animation within the scene, so it's at least moving with the camera, so it would make it look a little bit more realistic. Now we could probably maybe blur it a little bit, so there's a couple of ways we could do that. We could go radial, and we can do like a radial blur. So if we drop the radial blur, okay, probably not the radial, not the CC, I mean. There's one of these radials is the one I want. Yeah, okay, this one, just the basic radial blur. Okay, now if you click the little target button here, you know, put it on the center here. Now this is just one way to do it, okay? I'll just show you a couple of ways. Now, see if you notice the center, of course, isn't really moving. Like the body's not really moving, so there's no reason for that to be blurred. But of course the wings are, so that's why the beauty of this radial blur, where the center of it's not blurrier, but the further you go out, the blurrier it becomes. Okay, so but we don't have to have the amount so high. Could make it 5, 3. Okay, so if I turn it on and off, you can see the difference. Okay, so see how it's given it a little blur. Okay, so you could keep it like that. So there's one way to do it. And of course it has to be animated. So you're going to have to, where the center is, turn it on. So basically we're saying we want it on and we want it there at 0 frames. And then when we hit the very end, of course, we want it to be over here. Okay. Like that. And then all you have to do is just tweak it, just in case it's not following exactly. Okay. And there we go. Alright, so if I turn it off, okay, so you could probably even do a little bit more, maybe 5. There we go. Alright, so there's one way to do it. Let's just blur it like that. Or you could just, where I quite like the radial blur, keeps the body, like, the body looks good, I don't want that blurred, but it makes the wings blur, so it's a good, cheap, easy way to make the wings look like they're like they're what do you call it? Motion blur, basically. Okay. Alright. Now, so there's one way you can do it. Or another way we can do it is if we go blur. Okay, and you could just put like a Gaussian blur or a fast blur, just one of these, so you don't have to worry about animating it then. So if I just put that on, good Gaussian blur, put that to say 5 as well. That's way too much. 3. Way too much. See, this is the problem with this one. That's why I like the radial, because it doesn't blur out the body. Yeah, you can adjust it. 2. 1. Alright. Okay, so as you can notice, it's blurred the whole lot, of course, so it's whether you like that or not. I mean, I suppose here they're all blurred, you know, the whole thing. So it depends on your taste. Okay, so it probably even needs to be a little bit more blurred, doesn't it? 1.2 maybe. Okay, so it looks more like it's in the scene now, doesn't it? So maybe in this case, the Gaussian blur might be better, or you could even turn both of them on. So you could have the Gaussian blur just as an overall, and then you could have the radial blur just to accentuate the blur on the wings. Okay, so I might even do that. I think that looks pretty cool. Okay, so really all it comes down to is just doing little tedious little things. I mean, not really tedious. I mean, I quite enjoy this sort of thing. So, yeah. So, but really, all you have to do is, you know, the tedious side of it really is you got to keep going back and forward and looking at it constantly and just judging whether you think it looks like it's in there. You know, that's what it comes down to. You have to look and see, does that look like it belongs in this scene? Now, I think we're pretty damn close, actually. Okay, so I reckon I'll keep it there like that. Now, probably the thing that would have made it a little bit better would have been maybe the lighting when we animated it. Could have probably maybe accentuated the light more on the side here. See how it's a bit specular? You know, so I reckon if it was a bit specular on the side here, then that would just be perfect, I reckon. You could colour correct it, but I don't think it really needs colour correcting. I think it's pretty much alright. So, I mean, you could probably maybe put a hue and saturation, like a... okay, so if we go colour correction, you could put in the colour balance HLS, hue, lighting and saturation. And we could always adjust the lighting a little bit if you wanted to. 5. Take some of the saturation out to sort of maybe match here a little bit more. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so we can turn it on and off and have a look, see what one you like the best. Okay, I think it's probably too light, but I like the saturation. I think that saturation taken out of it a little bit has accentuated the lightness and the darkness a bit more, which is good. You can also put a curve on it, I suppose, so that might help. So if we go Effect and Color Correction, go to curves, and this is a good one. So we can accentuate the light area, so and darken the underbelly, but then lighten the so I'm lighting the highs and darkening the lows. Now it's sort of, because we got the light relatively close when we were in Lightwave, so okay. So I reckon that's good, but I think we could probably do with more saturation taken out of it. Okay, so anyway, I don't want to make this too long. So the idea of this was just, just giving you an idea. I mean, now that you've got the fundaments, now you can just tweak it now. Just do all those little tedious things that I was saying about move this and move that, put a little bit of lightness in there, take it away, take the set. You know what I mean? You might want more radial blur. So that's all things that you don't really need to watch me do. So, but I mean, to be honest, I think I've got it pretty damn close. So I reckon that looks pretty good. Okay, of course you would spend a long time on this sort of thing and knocked it out pretty quick. Okay, so alright, so I think we're done. So now all we have to do is we just go to composition, add to render queue. Okay, and we'll make it a H264. Okay, and Jurassic Park. Okay, put it in our Pterodactyl folder, call it Jurassic Park. That's probably, so we might have to go underscore R for revised or something. Okay, and render. So by selecting H264, what I did there is just, I'm sort of finished with it now, so I want to keep it at its best possible resolution, but I also want it to be fairly small too. I don't want it, see, if you have it on lossless, then just those 5 seconds will probably be about a gig or so, and you don't, unless you're going to redo something to it, there's no need for that. So that's why I put it to H264, because that's a very, very good container that that will provide us with good quality overall. So, okay, so if we have a look at it, so I hope you've learnt a lot in this 9-part tutorial, and please leave a comment, thumbs up, subscribe if you like my videos. That'd be greatly appreciated. If you at least leave a comment or at least thumbs up, that would be a big bonus for me, because then that'll keep me feeling motivated to make more videos. Okay, so have a great morning, afternoon, evening, or weekend, and ciao for now.